Hey guys, welcome back to Mo's Game Table. Today we're going to take a look inside Donning the Purple. This is a game from Tompet Games designed by Peter Shanko-Olsen, and it was on Kickstarter last year. In the early part of last year, I did a Kickstarter preview of it and really enjoyed my plays of it. It's a 1 to 3 player game. It's an interesting take on a King of the Hill style game. This is a Euro with a historical theme behind it. The idea is that you are, as you can see by the cover here, it is the fall of the Roman Empire, and you are trying to wear the purple trabea, the robe of the emperor. And you have other players that, as you can see, these knives in their hands, are ready to take you out and become the emperor. So that's the whole point of the game, is you want to be the emperor, get as many points as you can, while the other players are also trying to get points, but at the same time trying to steal that trabea from you and become emperor. And you will become emperor more than once in this game because things do change rapidly. That is the nature of this game, and that's, again, as you would expect with any King of the Hill game. Well, let's take a look at the back of the box and see what it says here about Donning the Purple. It says, Donning the Purple is an asymmetrical King of the Hill game with a bit of worker placement. Each player leads a powerful family in ancient Rome, trying to get the most victory points during 4 rounds. If your family member becomes the emperor and manages to hold the position, he can earn lots of points. However, he will also become the target of the other players, as they will try to dethrone him and become the new emperor themselves. It is for ages 14 and up, 1 to 3 players, and 70 to 90 minutes. And this is an example of the player boards, the cards, and the map that you're going to see inside the game. And I'm really excited to see how this finished product looks when we take a look inside the box, because when I did the preview, all I had was the prototype. So let's take a look inside the box. All right, get that open. We've got our rule book, nice color glossy rule book. We've got our player boards and the emperor board. We'll come back to that in a moment. We've got our tokens, our map board, cards, and big chunky wood bits and some dice. So we'll put all that on the side. We'll get this out of the way, and then I'll lay out the board and we'll take a look at everything. And here we have our map of Rome. It's going to give you the 4 regions of Rome, and you also have Rome itself that is going to be a separate region on its own. But each region will have a capital and then a set number of provinces within each region. And you also have the Senate track here, the grain price track, happiness track, and production track. All of these are going to be used throughout the game in solitaire through multiplayer. And we have our player mats here. Each player mat has a starting role. This is the emperor starting role, this is the senator starting role, and this is the heir to the emperor starting role. And the emperor itself will get a separate emperor track that goes right alongside your player mat, and that gives you some extra capabilities and things that you can do as emperor. On top of the fact that every player gets a 3 card limit, the emperor gets an extra card, so you can play at 4 cards. You keep track of your victory points down here, and if you have the heir token, grain goes down here, and you just keep track of the different bits and pieces of what it is you are running. Then you have your tokens. You have your money counters, your estates monuments, and then you have some power tokens as well that you're going to be using throughout the course of the game. Then we have cards. We have the hidden agenda cards. Each player is going to get a hidden agenda at the beginning of the game. This is going to be something that you're going to want to do by the end of the game to get extra points. You have a plot cards, and these are kind of really important and powerful because you can throw down plots and you can cause bad things to happen to other people. You can also use these as strength to buff your armies or to buff your attempts at assassination or defense if you're the emperor and someone's trying to assassinate you. Then you have event cards, which are generally almost always bad most of the time. You're going to have grain shortage, for example, approaching enemies. This is how the enemies get seated on the board on top of what the AI does. Enemy movement, Praetorian Guard is trying to extort you for more money, natural disaster, earthquakes, a Senate leader is killed, the Roman people are unhappy, so you lose some spaces on a happiness track. Your rivals are doing well. That's when your opponents get extra stuff that you don't get, and production sabotage, so on and so forth. But those are some of the examples of what you're going to get in the event cards. Then you have forum cards, which you will put stamina, which is kind of like a combination of currency and life in the game. You're going to have these upside down. You're going to place stamina in here, and that is, as you see here on this player mat, you have unused stamina goes here, and then when it's used, it goes down here. You only have a set number of stamina, and you're going to be moving it from unused to used. And when you put them on the forum cards, though, you will get benefits based on the card you choose, if you choose to do those. Then we have our chunky wood bits, and we have our glory dice. And these glory dice are special dice. When you roll these, this is after you've successfully won in battle, you're going to roll and see if you can get a plot card, or if you can get back stamina, or you get gold based on the pips you roll, and it's going to be 1 through 4 for the other sides. And we'll put those on the side. And talking about those chunky bits, let's take a look at a couple of them. The invading enemies that come out on the board are represented by these really cool, thick wood swords. So you just put them out on a map, they stand there really nice and stand out real well. Then you have the Roman legions, which are these red chunky bits, and you put those out on the board. And then you have your grain, which is represented by this yellow chunky bit. So really well done. The production quality is fantastic on this. This was the same art that I saw on the prototype map, but it's really great to see it on a mounted map. Great job by Tompet Games in getting this done. So we've got our rulebook, which is a 20-page rulebook. On the back, it goes into the components, and components start on page 19 and go into page 20. Starting off on page 1, we already know what the game objective is, to get the most points, but there are a couple of losing conditions. The game's over, and nobody wins if one of these two conditions are true. All regional capitals are controlled by the enemy at the end of the year. All 28 enemy tokens are on the map at the end of the year. So if all 28 of these are on the map at the end of the year, or if all regional capitals are taken over by the enemy by the end of the year, the game is over and everybody loses. So that's what you're all kind of working together, while at the same time you're trying to undermine each other, especially the Emperor. It's like a co-opetition situation. You are working cooperatively, but at the same time you're trying to undermine the other players. Okay, so we've got our inside the rulebook here, we've got our setup, and then it explains the starting roles, the Emperor, Heir, and the Senator, and what everybody gets. And then you have some advanced rules here, and then explains the Emperor mat. And it explains how to play the incoming enemies, which we already talked about, and gives nice examples of play, illustrated examples of play. Harvest grain, player actions, you draw cards, and then the actions that you can do during your turn. You can build an estate, bribe a senator, you can assassinate, how to use your plot cards, train new legions, build an aqueduct, place buildings, collect tax, distribute food, and end of the year. Then you get into your end game scoring, different objects on the game board, so it explains all the different tracks. And then you have death. And one of the interesting things is death of the player is not permanent. When you die, there's no permadeath. You are just knocked out of your position, and you will reset and continue on as before. So you're constantly fighting, and it really goes up and down, kind of a seesaw battle. And the interesting thing is you're never out. So that keeps everybody in the game, and you're kind of a little more willing to take risks, I think, if you are not permanently knocked out of the game. The thematic reason why you don't get knocked out is this is a family. The patron that is currently in the position that you're in that gets killed, the next person in line is going to take over from them. So that's how that works thematically, so to keep you into the game. And then there's your explanation of your cards, your event cards, hidden agenda, plot cards, and then 2-player rules, and also forum cards. And you have 2-player rules, 1-player rule, and your advanced rules here at the back, and then explains the advanced cards as well, and then advanced solo mode. Then we start with the components, which we already looked at, and the components on the back sheet. But that is the rule book for Donning the Purple. And that is everything you get inside Donning the Purple from Tompet Games. It is available now. It's being delivered to Kickstarter backers. I believe actually it's already been delivered to Kickstarter backers. If you are interested in Euro games with a really nice historical theme, this is definitely a fun one to get. War gamers and Euro gamers alike are going to like this. War gamers, it's not a hex and counter game. It has very simple combat, but the thematic feel to it is definitely going to grab you. It's going to suck you in. Plus, the game is very fast moving and it plays very well solo as well as multiplayer. But give it a look if you haven't seen it already. I definitely recommend you getting to sit down at a table and play it with your friends because it's a really good game. It's a lot of fun. But that's Donning the Purple from Tompet Games. If you have any comments or questions, post them down below. Thanks for tuning in, guys. See you next time.